Hi, this is an 11-minute summary of the base lore of Bendy and the Ink Machine. I'm Serenity, and I'm including the important cutscenes, but it's going to be short and simple. You play as this guy named Henry Stein. The game opens with a letter from Joey Drew, Henry's former business partner and best friend. The two co-founded Joey Drew Studios. This takes place 30 years after Henry leaves the studio. And at that studio, he made Bendy, which is like their big famous character.
Hey, here's my old desk. I wasted so much time in this chair.
Joey's note told Henry to return to the old animation studio and that there was something he wanted to show him. And when he gets to the animation studio, he finds the ink machine, which brings cartoon characters to life using ink and human souls, but he doesn't know that yet. So he puts a bunch of items on pedestals to turn on the ink machine for some reason and sees the Ink Demon, who's the main villain. He's a deformed version of Bendy that was made without a soul, so he's super powerful and kills basically everything. After running away from the big scary Ink Demon towards the exit, he falls through the floor, and when he somehow wakes up from the 4 or 5 story fall, he finds a ritual room where he has some strange visions and then passes out. When he wakes up, he finds a big hallway with altars dedicated to Bendy, and then there's some big recording studio puzzle he has to solve to clear ink from a stairwell, and ink puddle monsters, which we learn more about after, attack him. After all of that, Henry gets kidnapped and we are introduced to Sammy Lawrence. Sammy Lawrence was the music director for the studio, but after turning into an evil ink monster, like some of the other former employees, by the way, he starts worshipping Bendy, or the Ink Demon. So Sammy Lawrence, after having a really weirdly intimate moment with Henry, it was a very interesting scene, he dies while trying to sacrifice Henry to the Ink Demon. He's also messing with you throughout the game and scaring you with the cutouts. It's really annoying, so I think he deserved it. But Henry escapes and meets Boris, which is another character from the original show. Boris shelters him for a bit, and then Henry and Boris find this big toy machine thing. And Henry didn't learn his lesson the first time and decides to turn this one on too. He's kind of stupid. There's a Jacksepticeye cameo.
You probably have to melt it all down to be rid of it all.
And then we get introduced to Alice Angel, who's really Susie Campbell's soul. Susie was the original voice actress for Alice before being replaced later on by Allison Pendle. Susie was attached to Alice's character, so she wasn't happy about being replaced, like, at all. You end up having to choose between the demon's path or the angel's path. It doesn't really change the story, you just get more lore about whatever character you choose, kind of. The demon's path gets you an audio recording of Joey Drew at the start.
Why, with enough belief, you could even treat Captain Sound. Now that is a beautiful and positively silly thought.
I cut it to the important stuff. The beginning's just talking about dreams coming true with hard work and stuff like that. You keep going, Boris gives you a weapon, you beat up the Butcher Gang member. I hate those guys, they are the worst, and go into an ominous elevator where Alice has a little monologue.
Just follow the screams.
You find her lair, Boris sees himself scooped, and you find all these corpses of past ink creatures while Alice talks.
It took so many of them to make me so beautiful.
You find her torturing a Butcher's Gang member and explaining the dark puddles, which gives us an insight to those puddle creatures from before.
You know what it's like, living in the dark puddles? It's a buzzing, screaming well of voices.
Basically, employee souls are trapped in a cycle of living ink creatures. She gives you a wrench and then gets you to run some errands for her and warns you about the Ink Demon.
But there is one rule we all know and respect down here. Beware the Ink Demon.
You go on like 6 quests to help her grab her things while running from the Ink Demon and the Projectionist, who you can't kill him either. When you finish those tasks for her, she tells Henry that she'll let him go back to the surface, but she tricks him and plummets the elevator down to kill him and take Boris. After Henry somehow survives another fall, Boris gets kidnapped. Henry gets up, alone and weaponless again. He finds a library, has more visions, he goes exploring more, finds a machine that makes things out of ink blobs, and gets more scary visions. Alice tries to rage bait him about having Boris captive, and he finds a room full of lost souls. Anyway, he climbs through a vent and enters a room where we find a mini model of what was meant to be a Bendy theme park. He finds a voice recording from Bertram, the designer of the amusement park, complaining about Joey changing his designs and mocking him. Henry goes down to the warehouse and has to flip switches to open a door, which happens a lot in this game. While doing this, he has a boss fight with Bertram possessing a carnival ride, and right after that, the Projectionist shows up again and does practically nothing. After that, as Henry's leaving, the Ink Demon shows up and rips the Projectionist's head off. He sees Henry, but he just leaves. When Henry gets to the now unlocked door, he goes on a haunted house ride and finds Boris mutilated.
Boris! No, what has she done to you?
After defeating him, Alice runs in and tries to kill Henry but gets stabbed by someone behind her. She falls to reveal two versions of Alice and Boris. The Alice is Allison, the girl who replaced Susie, and Tom, who was formerly Thomas Connor, a studio repairman who's mentioned in a lot of audio recordings. They take Henry captive, and through the dialogue of Henry being locked up, we learn a lot about how the ink creatures work.
1 minute, we don't even exist. Just thoughts. And the next minute, this place. We don't even know what you are. But you don't want to touch the ink for too long. It can claim you. Pull you back.
Then the ink demon shows up, and they leave Henry for dead, but using the glass that Allison gave him, he escapes. After sailing across an ink lake, he reunites with Sammy Lawrence. Henry breaks his mask, and Sammy almost decapitates him. Tom shows up, kills Sammy, hands Henry an axe, and the three of them fight off searchers. Henry finds another path, falls again, and he's not even surprised at this point. There's no dialogue from him after he falls. Anyways, he finds another task, which includes dealing with the Butcher's Gang again. They are without a doubt the worst monsters in the game, in my opinion. The final boss fight was half the time it took me to do this. Anyway, he finds more recordings, two explaining more about the ink machine, the ink demon, and the souls.
But I'm paying for living attractions, not weird abominations. Whatever that great thing was I saw wandering around your office, you better keep it locked up tight. And in response to your previous memo, if you claim that your failures are because these things are soulless, then damn it, we'll give them a soul. After all, I own thousands of them.
And one revealing the alleged financial struggle and distrust in Joey's leadership.
The idea that the company is in some form of financial difficulty is untrue, and a slanderous lie against us. It's also been known to me that some backroom incompetents are not trusting in my leadership.
Once he completes the task, he meets up with Allison and Tom again. He tells them that they need to go to the demon's lair, and they leave him again, unable to touch the ink that surrounds his lair. Henry enters by himself and finds another recording of Joey and the ink demon.
It's simply awe-inspiring what one can accomplish with their own hands. A lump of clay can turn to meaning if you strangle it with enough enthusiasm. Look what we've built. We created life itself, Henry. Not just on a silver screen, but in the hearts of those we entertain with our fancy moving pictures. But when the tickets stopped selling, when the next big thing came along, only the monsters remained. Shadows of the past. But you can save them, Henry. You can peel it all away. You see, there's only one thing Bendy has never known. He was there for his beginning, but he's never seen the end.
The end.
There's a two-part boss battle, and the cutscene starts with Henry putting the end tape that he found before into the projector. Henry wakes up from the blinding light to what looks like Joey Drew's house. On his desk there are sketches of the characters in their monster forms, and some of the other lore is found on the walls, which I'll just put on screen to save time. When Henry enters the kitchen, Joey turns around and starts talking to him.
I know. You have questions. You always do. The only important question is this. Who are we, Henry? I thought I knew who I was, but the success starved me. Nothing left but lines on a page. In the end, we followed two different roads of our own making. You, a lovely family. Me, a crooked empire. And my road burned. I let our creations become my life. The truth is, you were always so good at pushing, old friend. Pushing me to do the right thing. You should have pushed a little harder. Henry, come visit the old workshop. There's something I need to show you.
All right, Joey. I'm here. Let's see if we can find what you wanted me to see.
This reveals that Henry, alongside the other employees at Joey Drew Studios, are trapped in a loop. That's the summary of the first game. There is a second one with much more lore, which I haven't personally played yet, so I'm gonna go off of the first game's lore only. Anyway, yeah, that's Bendy the Ink Machine. This is actually the first horror game Let's Play I ever watched when I was younger, so it was really fun to get to play it myself. I hope most of my explanations made sense. Okay, bye.